Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV. Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration.
Amounted to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence. The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.
You're welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. Kaima Kosel and Nicholas Walter, and here are the news making the headlines. Unions warns federal government against health sector crisis in 2022. Somali Prime Minister orders army to be under his command. France tightens restrictions amid Omicron surge. Currency in circulation jumped to 3.15 trillion naira in November, says Central Bank of Nigeria. Cavani rescues Man United in Newcastle draw. Do well to stay with us as we bring you details of the news after the short break. You're welcome back and many thanks for staying with us right now. Now the news in details. Unions warns federal government against health sector crisis in 2022. The Joint Health Sector Union and Assembly of Healthcare Professional Associations have asked the federal government to avert any crisis that could cripple the health sector in 2022. The unions also admonished the government to include the adjusted consolidated health salary structure in the next budget to avoid industrial actions by health workers. Speaking on the African Independent Television program, Kakaki Johesu Chairman Balbo Lamoye Josiah said the unions were aware that there is a provision of 80 billion naira set aside to take care of a salary adjustment for health workers, adding that it will be wrong for the Federal Ministry of Health to divert the funds for other purposes. Josiah noted that the unions have accepted the explanation offered by the federal government on the adjustment made on the hazard allowance, warning that any attempt to favor one union against the other would be resisted. Moving forward quickly, government to inaugurate remodeled slave market museum. The Lagos State government has said the remodeled Vlekete slave market museum in Badagry will soon be inaugurated as a major tourist site. The Special Advisor of Governor on Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mr. Solomon Bonu, said this in a statement. Bonu was quoted to have said this during an assessment tour of the project in Badagry. He said the Vlekete Slave Market Museum would soon be opened for use by members of the public as the approval for its rehabilitation further reaffirmed the status of Badagry as a major tourism destination in Lagos State and by extension, Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mrs. Adenike Adedoyin-Ajayi, said the museum, when completed, will reenact the memory of the slave trade. The Vlekete slave market was adjudged to be one of the most popular slave markets in West Africa during the slave trade period. The Director of Monuments Management Department, Mr. Olatunde Lawal, commended the contractor that handled the remodeling of the museum for the quality job done. In another development, FIME offers scholarship to students with 9 distinctions in WASC. Ekiti State Governor Dr. Kayode Fayemi has offered scholarship up to first degree level to Ikeoluwa Okunola, a student of Greater Tomorrow Model College, Ado Ekiti, who had A1 in all the 9 subjects he sat for in the 2021 West Africa Examination Council. Fayemi, who actually assured the students that the state government will put in motion other necessary supports that would allow Okunola to sustain the feast in future, promised to monitor them to ensure that they keep doing well. The proprietor of Greater Tomorrow Model College, Mr. Michael Owaraye, lauded Fayemi's efforts in raising the standard of education through quality policies and programs, provisions of needed educational infrastructures, and conducive environment for private schools to thrive in the state. Those present at the event included the boy's mother, Mrs. Bumi Okunola, the school principal, Mr. Bayo Olawokere, and the Commissioner for Education, Dr. Bimpe Aderinye. And coming quickly from around Africa, Somali Prime Minister orders army to be under his command. In Somalia, the President and Prime Minister clashed. President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, better known as Farmajo, announced the suspension of the Prime Minister, accusing him of corruption. Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Robo responded by ordering the Somali armed forces to be placed under his command. The acting Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Robo says the president seemingly decided to destroy government institutions, and with his constitutional mandate already having ended, he told the Somali people that the federal government of Somalia, performing its constitutional duties, especially in the institutional or transitional period, is fully responsible for leading all the government institutions of the nations. Therefore, he ordered all Somali national forces to work under the commands of the office of the Prime Minister from onwards. The angry exchange between the two top officials was sparked over the country's sluggish preparations for elections. The dispute alarmed international observers, prompting the U.S. Embassy in Mogadishu to urge Somalia's leader to de-escalate tensions. Jihadist groups such as Al-Shabaab controlled large parts of the countryside and staged frequent attacks against the capital. Still from around Africa, court sentences captain and first mate of MW Wakashio to prison. In Mauritius, a court sentenced the captain and first mate of the MW Wakashio, whose grounding in 2020 caused a worst oil spill on the coast of Mauritius, to 20 months in prison. The judge added that both defendants pleaded guilty and apologized. The Japanese bulk carrier ran aground on July 25, 2020, on a coral reef southeast of Mauritius, leasing more than 1,000 tons of fuel oil into its crystal clear waters. The Panamanian-flagged vessel was on the way to Brazil from Singapore with 3,800 tons of fuel oil and 200 tons of diesel on board, which soon began to leak, but most of which could be pumped out. During the hearing, the Indian captain Sunil Kumar Dadeshwar admitted that he had been drinking at a party on board the ship. The oil spill was the worst marine pollution in the history of the country, which depends on its waters for food security and ecotourism in an area that has some of the world's most beautiful coral reefs. We'll go on a short break. We'll come back. We'll bring you updates from the foreign scene. Do well to stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
What business are you planning to showcase to the world? That which will satisfy the need of humanity? Of course, with Celebration TV, it will get the desired reciprocation you long for. We are committed to giving your business and services that quality touch of class, and you will be happy you made the right choice by placing that investment of yours on the right platform. Without delay, you can call on this number for your advert placement, partnership, or sponsorship of our programs. Celebration Television, your best bet.
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, updates from the foreign scene. France tightens restrictions amid Omicron surge. France has announced tighter COVID restrictions amid concerns over the Omicron variant. On 3rd of January, remote working will become compulsory for those who can, and public gatherings will be limited to 2,000 people for indoor events. The news comes as France recorded more than 100,000 new infections on Saturday, the highest number reported in the country since the pandemic began. But France's Prime Minister did not bring in a New Year's Eve curfew. Countries across Europe are tightening restrictions as infections rise and the new Omicron variant spreads through the continent, and studies suggest the strain is milder than Delta, with a 30% to 70% lower chance of infected people ending up in hospital. But there are fears the sheer number of cases could overwhelm hospitals, and the French Prime Minister Jean Castex told reporters the pandemic felt like a film without an ending as he unveiled the new measures at a news conference following a crisis cabinet meeting. Health Minister Olivier Véran said coronavirus infections were doubling every 2 days, warning of a mega wave of new cases. More updates from the United States of America. U.S. halves isolation time for asymptomatic infection. The United States has halved the recommended isolation time for people with asymptomatic COVID infections from 10 to 5 days. The Centers for Disease Control, CDC, said that this must be followed by 5 days of wearing masks around others. While the new recommendations are not mandatory, they are closely followed by many businesses and policy makers across the U.S. President Joe Biden has pledged to deal with a shortage of tests as Omicron threatens to overwhelm hospitals. It has also updated recommendations for people exposed to COVID who are either unvaccinated or yet to get a booster jab. People who have received their booster shots do not need to quarantine following exposure, but should wear a mask for 10 days after the exposure, the CDC has said. President Biden has warned that hospitals could be overrun, but that people do not need to panic as the country is better equipped to deal with the latest COVID surge. Different states and local authorities in the U.S. are introducing new measures in a bid to combat rising cases, and new vaccine requirements have come into force in New York City, including a vaccine mandate for private sector workers in the city. We go straight to business news right now. Currency in circulation jumped to 3.15 trillion naira in November, says CBN. The currency in circulation rose from 2.97 trillion naira at the end of October to 3.15 trillion naira in November, according to figures obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Central Bank of Nigeria data shows that the currency in circulation increased to 2.84 trillion naira in September from 2.78 trillion naira in August. It stood at 2.81 trillion naira in July, 2.74 trillion naira in June, 2.79 trillion naira in May, 2.79 trillion naira in April, 2.8 trillion naira in March, 2.78 trillion naira in February, and 2.83 trillion naira in January. The Currency Operations Department of the CBN said in its 2020 annual reports that it sustained banknotes disposal operations in 2020 to ensure the circulations of clean banknotes. The Apex Bank said in furtherance of this objective, it deployed 11 banknote destruction system and free currency disintegrating system for currency disposal activities in the period under review. It said the decrease was attributed to the suspension of disposal activities due to COVID-19 restrictions. A currency in circulation is the finest currency outside the vaults of a central bank, that is, all legal tender currency in the hands of the general public and in the vaults of the deposit money banks. Still on business news, federal government plans 12 trillion naira fresh borrowing public debt to hit 50 trillion naira by 2023. The federal government hopes to push its public debt stock to 50.22 trillion naira by 2023, with domestic debt at 28.75 trillion naira and external debt at 21.47 trillion naira. This is according to the projections in the National Development Plan 2021 through 2025. And the Debt Management Office had disclosed that Nigeria's public debt was 38 trillion naira as of the end of the third quarter of 2021, with the total debt stock rising by 2.54 trillion naira in 3 months from July to September 2021. This shows that the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari plans to accumulate about 12 trillion naira debt in 2 years from 2021 to 2023 plan. And however, based on the plan, the government targets a reduction in total public debts by 2025. A tabular illustration in the document showed that the government targets 39.59 trillion naira debt stock for 2021, 46.63 trillion naira for 2022, and 50.22 trillion naira for 2023. 50.53 trillion naira for 2024 and 45.96 trillion naira for 2025. The government also discloses that it needs money to finance the plan of 348.1 trillion naira, and the borrowing framework in the plan is 45% each for both foreign and domestic borrowing. We'll go on a short break. We'll come back. We'll bring you sport news. Stay with us.
What business are you planning to showcase to the world? That which will satisfy the need of humanity? Of course, with Celebration TV, it will get the desired reciprocation you long for. We are committed to giving your business and services that quality touch of class, and you will be happy you made the right choice by placing that investment of yours on the right platform. Without delay, you can call on this number for your advert placement, partnership, or sponsorship of our programs. Celebration Television, your best bet.
You're welcome to Sport News. Cavani rescues Man United in Newcastle draw. Edinson Cavani spared Manchester United's self-blushes on their return from a coronavirus hiatus as the Uruguayan rescued a 1-1 draw as struggling Newcastle. Rangnick's side trailed to Alan Saint's maximum eye-catching early goal and were outplayed for long periods at St. James Park. But Cavani came off the bench to bag his first goal since October in the second half, ensuring Rangnick avoided his first defeat in 4 games as United interim manager. United remain in 7th place in the Premier League, 7 points behind 4th placed Arsenal with 2 games in hand. Rangnick had won his first 2 league games since taking over from the Axel Gunnar Solskjaer, but neither performance was especially convincing, and this was another overwhelming effort. United did have the excuse of a COVID outbreak that forced them into a 16-day period of inactivity since they won 1-0 at Norwich on December 11th. Although their COVID situation has improved, United still weren't able to return a completely clean bill of health after Sweden defender Victor Lindelöf tested positive on Sunday. Now, another sports news quickly. Paris Saint-Germain loan Rafinha to Real Sociedad. Brazilian international midfielder Rafinha has joined the Spanish club Real Sociedad on loan until the end of the season, Paris Saint-Germain said. And Real Sociedad confirmed the news on the website with a photo of a player with a club shirt bearing the name Rafael and with the number 17 on it. The Sao Paulo-born player, a brother of Liverpool's Thiago Alcantara, said he is excited and happy about the loan. The 28-year-old former Barcelona and Inter Milan player has been a regular with 13 appearances at PSG since joining in October 2020. And that has brought us to the end of the news on Celebration Television News Desk. In case you missed out, here's the news making the headlines. Unions warn federal government against health sector crisis in 2022. Somali Prime Minister orders army to be under his command. France tightens restrictions amid Omicron surge. Currency in circulation jumped to 3.15 trillion naira in November, says Central Bank of Nigeria. Cavani rescues Man United in Newcastle draw. And quickly, we have photo of the day. Photo of the day. See families coming together that speaks of a team spirit, of which we all know that team spirit is the key to quality success. You can drop your comment on our social media platforms on Facebook, Celebration TV, Instagram, My Celebration TV, Twitter, at My Celebration TV, YouTube, Celebration TV. Always remember that your positive contribution to the wellness of a society you find yourself or the organization you work defines your leadership mind. As an individual who knows what to do and do without expecting to be pushed has backed his ways to success. Be it known today that everything we do, think, feel, and believe either has a positive or negative effect on humanity and our national well-being. Be a part of nation building today. Thank you once again for staying with us on our news desk. Enjoy your holiday, enjoy your Yuletide celebration. I want to wish you a prosperous New Year in advance. I remain Akosele Nicholas Walter. Say bye for now. To 15.7 trillion naira.